Yeah, okay, time to live free. Plenty goals I'm achieving. Some real life topics and talking financial freedom. Mindset, soul and love, everything in between. This is Freedom Podcast. Tune in, live free. Hey, got my mindset right and I got the drive. Planning one day, no more job, no more 9 to 5. Love, money, mind. Love, money, mind. This is freedom. Tune in, cause it's going down. Woo!
Hi, it's Anna Davidson from Your Freedom Podcast. And in this episode, I am shooting this all the way in sunny Portugal. I hope you can see the lovely view I have from here on my balcony. And I just really wanted to do this episode, not as an interview, but just to talk about really what this podcast has been all about. But more importantly, what does freedom mean to you? You know, I've talked and interviewed a lot of people on the podcast, and we've talked about freedom. And of course, it's called Your Freedom Podcast. And you'll have heard me discuss the 3 pillars: freedom in love, freedom in money, and freedom in mind. And I was just thinking that actually, while I've been on my vacation with the family, I've been thinking about really what freedom means to me and what kind of like the price of freedom really means to a lot of people. Because freedom can mean a lot of different things to different people. And we've seen on all of the interviews, the one question I ask people at the end is always, what does freedom mean to you? So I really wanted you to think about what does freedom mean to you, because it's a very personal topic and it means lots of different things to different people. And I wanted to discuss why I always talk about these 3 pillars, being love, money and mind, and how much that kind of means to me. Because it took me 5 years and 32 court cases to gain my legal freedom from my now ex-husband. But my journey to personal freedom and full control of my life started the moment I finally realised the enormity of the wrongness that was happening to me. With my eyes finally wide open, I immediately began to prepare for my exit plan, and then I left him, or rather I escaped from him. With our 2 beautiful and innocent boys and a few worldly belongings, the years of incessant energy-sapping adrenaline, a newfound focus, determination and courage carried me wordlessly and emotionlessly away from the silently closed front door of our marital home and into my getaway car. I knew that this journey to somewhere, to anywhere, was to be the ultimate escape from indescribable pain. Never again would my chosen path lead back to him, and the source of my pain, never again would I look backwards. This was now my time and my turn to live. I had to make this happen. And to help me survive and thrive, I focused on these 3 words, which I discuss a lot in the podcast: love, money, and mind. And this is my story of how this focus has helped me and now others heal from the victimization of past abuse. So love then. When my journey towards freedom began, my priority focus was and still is love. I do not mean romantic love or seeking love from others in the hope of feeling better in myself, but looking inwards, searching out and acknowledging the huge empty voids that lurk there and filling their sad hollowness with love and self-care. At the start of my journey, loving myself was certainly a tall order for someone like me, and how I then perceived myself, a bright, loving, vivacious and driven perfectionist who had failed. I blamed myself for the love that he could and would not give me. Self-care and self-love I came to learn, and it was not about being or trying to be a perfect person, but about actually just loving myself unconditionally. I know that I had to pick up my self-esteem and self-worth from where I had last felt them within me many years beforehand. Feeling numb and exhausted, it was up to me to brush off the vestiges of how I once valued myself, up to me to work hard at pulling the weak dregs of my once worthiness together, up to me to fix them together and to build them up into the new, unfettered me I was yet to discover. I also knew that this resolve to love and heal myself would not prove an easy journey. But more importantly, I instinctively knew that nothing along my new journey towards freedom would be more difficult than what I had already been through. The relationship was over in my head the minute I left it. yet learning to love myself immediately came up against a number of frustrating challenges. Now I know that these obstacles of trauma that taunted me along my road to recovering self-love are normal for many victims of domestic abuse, but I did not want to normalize them in my life. All too often, the obstacles stopped me suddenly and unpredictably in my determined tracks, holding me down with motionless sobbing and with frantic chest stabbing and shirt-soaked anxiety. Along with the sighing and pensive euphoria of a new escapee, I also felt down, alone, and in an emotional state. And the obstacles to learning to love myself were immense. I lost a significant amount of weight and also many friends as I faced and replayed the cruelty and trauma of the past over and over and over again for each of the many court cases I had to prepare for and attend in his presence. People I needed to understand did not. Support services and friends vocally expressed their unasked for, skewed and ignorant perceptions of a comfortable and happy lifestyle that I betrayed. One that they incorrectly assumed that I could have easily walked away from at any time. And why hadn't I? I quickly had to learn to escape that behind doors manipulation, coercion and control, and strangled screams of agony and vain cries for help cannot be readily seen on the falsely loyal yet ashamed and embarrassed faces of the perpetrator's victims, who eventually and hopefully emerged gasping from the all too often gaslit confines of the four walls, loosely and numbly termed home. I had to learn that some of those people that were closest to me would never believe me and that I had to let them go. Acknowledging and accepting what had happened to me was a big step towards loving myself. I use many social media platforms to talk about the abuse, which I know embarrassed those people close to me. Their stiff upper lip generational distance making the public disclosure uncomfortable for them. However, my mission to help others has always been bigger than the image of victim, the branding that I've inadvertently given myself online. And so I continued the communicating in this way because I remain convinced that by doing so, the empathy and solidarity empowers others to take positive action for themselves and thus to take action against their abusers. In social media, I had also found a medium of expressing and respecting my own experiences and feelings. This was the beginning of self-love for me. But I also had to work with an exit plan of action, of survival, and the urgency of this kept me moving forward. I knew that all I really needed was a handful of supportive, loving people beside me, which I was blessed to have had. I wanted him to be part of that exit plan for the sake of our two boys, but my honourable intention just did not work out. So I realised that I had to focus on me and searching out and loving all my strengths and capabilities while I'd made little steps towards love on my own. I realised that I'd also need someone beside me holding my hand, encouraging me to keep walking forward and occasionally carrying me while I worked out how to face and circumvent the oftentimes horrific obstacles along the way. I chose talking therapy, and I had a wonderful therapist that I recently interviewed on the podcast, Lenka. With her, I learned not to fight my emotions, but to allow them and to let the trapped negative energy out into the open. I learned that therapist rooms with the obligatory box of tissues on the pristine coffee tables do not symbolise personal weakness on the part of the domestic and sexual abuse victim, nor that I had failed and arrived at that last resort. Counselling actually proved to be an important part of my journey to discover love, and I learned to accept and love myself completely. The blame and shame began to wane as I began to understand my past and all its many red flags that had been foisted on me and my misplaced empathy. I began to use the far too lengthy court case itself, used as a medium for his control over me as a means to offload my thoughts, memories and emotions and to lean on available support. I gave myself permission to accept and encourage my self-development and to ensure that my mindset continued to develop positively. I began to stand back and recover from years of relentless, obsessive harassment. I'm now extremely and perhaps oddly very grateful for having experienced the abuse and for learning from it. I'm a completely different person. I was once a party animal, masking the pain with blank smiles and boozy dancing. Paradoxically, my journey of recovery recovery has given me a lot of time on my own, and I've got to know and love myself very well. Loneliness has fortified my inner strength. Now I am rarely conscious of the anxiety and anger that occasionally take a joyride with my otherwise enlivened, enthusiastic soul. My time, my place is all about self-care routine now. A week of work and quality time with my boys, and strict Saturday morning chill-outs, where the diary is blanked out specifically for a long breakfast, ending the ritual and leading into fun-filled family time for the rest of the day. I meditate daily, both guided by someone else and also on my own, which is important for those of us working in this digital world, but also for me maintaining a peaceful work-life balance and an unbroken process of continued recovery, health and happiness. I love to bathe each night, have an early bath with a glass of wine. I always shut my brain off before I go to sleep, and sleep, plenty of it, remains a priority. It was only by learning and consistently practicing self-love and self-care and really believing in myself and my self-worth that I began to build up my self-esteem, self-confidence and positive energy levels. I also found a purpose in my life that was bigger than helping myself. I eventually felt that I had the capacity to pass on the love to others and to help empower other women. My goal now is to impact 1 million women globally with my story. It's not a small feat, but because I know the potential of my story in helping others, I really believe that this could be achieved. And obviously through this podcast, I'm reaching many women globally. For me, an extremely important part of passing on the love is being an ambassador for the domestic abuse charity, the Buddy Bad Foundation. The charity helps people who have to flee to refuge centres because of the domestic abuse they experience. I heard about it on Facebook, and one day I made a decision to approach the charity myself. For a few months, in the readiness for a quick escape from my marital home and my children, I had my own buggy bag containing items I might need in an emergency, locked away in the boot of my car. So part of my journey of recovery from domestic abuse has been in giving some goodness to others, so making the best use of all that bad that happened to me. And being part of such a worthy charity is my way of giving back. So many women have sent me lots of stories of what they've been through, and they thank me for speaking out, and even through this podcast have reached out with other adversity stories, may it be bereavement or an addiction. I genuinely believe that my story of past abuse has given me an important mission in life to support and proudly inspire other women entrepreneurs in pursuit of their own business dreams. Just as I've done for myself, I also understood that about 60% of women want to run their own online business, but fear stops them to spread the word and pass on the love. I now teach others how to emulate my online business as an Amazon entrepreneur. And for more about that, you can see in the comment section. I offer free training and also paid coaching. I also recently released my book, She Made It Happen, which tells the stories of 15 inspirational women, all of whom have turned their painful past stories into personal success. My ebook as well, which you can grab a copy of, is the 5 Steps to Selling Professionally on Amazon, as well as obviously a coaching program, like I said, and a free course, my Amazon 101 Academy, and my Amazon Queen Accelerator, which is all about launching physical products to sell online. And of course, within my Freedom podcast, which you're listening to right now, I interview different guests to share their stories about love, money, and mind. The 3 topics that I focus on, which have helped me to gain back equilibrium in my life. So let's move on to money now. You know, I'm running away with myself. What I've not told you is how in learning to love myself and ultimately in sharing that love with others, I threw myself into my business as a healing process. I had to focus on money and financial freedom as well as love. And just as I learned to live my life with the guidance of my talking therapist counsellor, 2 other people were particularly inspirational in the money part of my journey to freedom. At the beginning of my journey, I had been part of the high action, all-consuming corporate world for 16 years, earning the reputation as a Viagra rep. I was doing exceptionally well. You know, I had a company car, substantial bonuses. I had a personally paid for the lifestyle everyone envied in the big house, the exotic holidays, the flamboyant parties. But it was all pretty much superficial, lying on the surface with cracks starting to appear. Life had become monotonous and time beyond work was limited. The feeling of needing to escape a highly toxic relationship was growing with me, as was my need to leave the extreme demands of my job. My income was capped, but the far too many hours I gave my employer were not. I was frequently away from home and I yearned to be with my two young boys and be what I thought back then, a proper mum. My entrepreneurial streak was alive and kicking then. I wanted to live a life with more meaning and more purpose. I did not know where to start. My failed marriage had completely ended or eroded, my self-confidence at this stage. So my two focuses of love and money were too big to handle and I felt I could not go on. I had this inner voice that urged me to get up, sort myself out and help others like me. Amongst the defeatism and depression I was experiencing, this little voice of knowledge telling me that I could completely change my life screamed loud and clear to me. I could not see how I could change my life. I had no relevant skills or qualifications to help people, and who would listen to me anyway? Then I was made redundant from my job, and all the roads to learn and gain confidence seemed blocked to me, and so I did nothing. An online entrepreneur added me as a friend on Facebook. His life looked enviable. He lived his life on his own terms. He drove a Lamborghini, he travelled the world, and he was 10 years younger than me. We had similar backgrounds though, because he'd worked in the corporate world, and I could fully relate to his need to escape from the rat race. As I read more about him, I felt my subdued self-confidence grow. I could do this too. He sent me a message inviting me to a webinar, and my inner voice made me sign up for it. My desires for a new life urged me on. I not only wanted to earn the same six-figure a month income, but I also wanted to help other people change their lives by encouraging them to change their mindsets of limiting beliefs. I felt excited, scared, but I knew I had to work with him. The $10,000 coaching fee for the year did put me off a little bit, but I decided to go for it. I kind of believe that you've got to invest to grow. From there, I wanted to learn more about digital marketing, and at that stage of my journey to freedom, Blockbusters, remember Blockbusters is an American-based provider of home movie and video games, had just gone into receivership in the UK, and this digital world was, around me. Netflix was the alternative, a streaming service offering a wide variety of award-winning TV shows, movies, documentaries, so on, was just taking off back then. I could see that we were in this new wave of digital economy, and I needed to learn the relevant skills so I could put a part of this new digital world and be a part, but I was nervous. I was also keen to make a difference in the world. I focused my attention at the time on Amazon and Facebook. I realised that both these platforms could provide a means to market and sell goods. Everyone was by then shopping online. The way we communicated was changing, the internet was there for the grabbing, and at the same time I could see that businesses were not prepared to take full advantage of this new digital age, and their sales were flagging as a result, and I knew I had to be part of the scene of driving this change. I started out by learning more about Facebook. It was becoming huge, and we're talking back in 2012, 2013. Having a considerable impact on people's lives, but I could see that it was also important for selling products, information, physical products, personal branding. With the power of paid Facebook advertising online, brands could profit significantly. I also started selling physical products on Amazon using their marketplace through Fulfillment by Amazon, also known as Amazon FBA. So partnering with Amazon was truly amazing. I decided on a niche, example, sports and fitness, beauty. And then I created brands of physical products within this niche. I sourced these products from suppliers in China and sent my new creations to Amazon's warehouse. Amazon would then take care of the rest, picking and packing my products direct to the customer and managing customer services and returns, while I focused on the marketing and selling of my physical product brands. I then sent my unique product lines to the USA, UK, and across Europe. Sometimes I would also fulfill items from home as well, and sometimes not even actually having the physical product in my hands. I did all of this by using the power of the digital economy. When my confidence was growing, I then created a partnership with someone I met online, someone else who'd been imported from China for many years. Together, we created an offline training program, workshop together, teaching people how to import from China and sell on Amazon. Using the new digital skills I'd acquired, I set up an online coaching business, gained new clients, began to make very good money. But I had not fully achieved what I'd set out to do on my new journey to freedom. I was still trading time for money, just as in my previous job as a Viagra rep. I was still trying to juggle my business with children. At the same time, I was finding love and healing from an abusive relationship. I was also finding that I was losing touch with reality a little bit. I was not present. I was always felt under pressure and extremely exhausted. I burnt out practically doing my coaching. My flexibility, freedom, and happiness was being compromised by the business model of coaching on a one-to-one basis, as well as running offline workshops. My time was not my own, and yet I convinced myself that because I'd worked from home, I was able to look after my two boys. But in reality, I wasn't helping my clients more than I was my boys. My purpose in life too was evasive. I was not making the impact that I really set out to achieve. I played with the idea of returning to the corporate world, but my inner voice yelled at me again. I knew I was close to achieving my desires despite not being able to see or feel them. I'd learned so much about the new digital world, and I had these newfound skills, but I was just not prepared to give up. And I had gained so much control over my life by then that I really could not see myself handing that freedom over to someone managing me again in the corporate world. So I persisted. I decided that I needed to be very clear about what it was that I really wanted. To travel more overseas, like I'm currently doing here in Portugal, and to make more memories for myself and my two boys. As a single parent, I wanted my children to see the world and get inspired for their own futures too. I also wanted to run online courses and to be with my kids, be fully present with them every day. I wanted to be a mum who never missed sports day, was always there to pick them up from school and have the time to make cakes with them or get the paints out, be creative, that kind of thing. I wanted and needed to be part of their stories as much as they are part of mine. I also wanted to inspire other women like me, other mums, who wanted a limitless income, who wanted to travel the world while at the same time optimizing their time with their children. Female entrepreneur that I'd been following on social media for a while invited me to a seminar. She was speaking out for women in business. I'd done a lot of networking with women and mumpreneurs, but I'd become a bit tired of, the boss women types. I'd noticed that they were unduly competitive with each other and constantly ran each other down and a little bit negative, But this female entrepreneur was different. She was really inspirational in her proactivity, refusing to respond to adversity and hostility, and I highly respected that she respected other women. Speaking to a room of 200 people, this woman entrepreneur shared how her son had died from cancer and how she had built up a 7-figure online business through courses. She had such a powerful story, and the people listened to her, bought into her and her courses because of it. This event helped me get focused and inspired, and I reached out to her and she actually became my mentor. I could see then that if I shared my own story, how powerful hers was, and if I shared mine, I could get it out into the world. I'd also become a vehicle to inspire others. Yes, I wanted financial freedom, but I also yearned to get my awful, horrendous domestic abuse story out beyond the social media platforms and my talking therapist too. I wanted to help others beyond my immediate circle who were in the same situation as I had been. I wanted to help them escape, but I also wanted to inspire those who wanted to start an online business. Because if I could do it against all odds, then so could they. If I could get on the stage and tell my story, help people start a business on Amazon and make 6 figures and more, then I could also step up a level and have more impact in the world. If I could sign up 100 people in one go, just like my new coach did from the stage, then I could speak all over the world. At this event, this incredible woman taught me how to get leads for my business without advertising and asked everyone to post on Facebook in the exact style of her strategy. The next day, I came up with a new course idea, added all the people I'd connected with at the women's business event. I had a pre-launch offer, and that week I made $15,000. And for the first time, I felt so clear in my intentions. I had a simple game plan. I was focused. I was no longer trading time for money. I now had the potential to reach thousands of people who wanted to learn from me and so could make a huge impact in the world with a real sense of purpose at the end of the day. I want to help mums, dads, or anybody who wants freedom and true flexibility to run an online business. She Made It Happen, the 6-figure Amazon seller course, and my Amazon 101 Academy was born, and members were getting results. I felt a huge sense of purpose that students were creating seemingly ordinary products and turning them into hot sellers by sourcing from China, importing them to the UK, Europe, US, and Australia, and launching them on the Amazon marketplace. I was creating 6-figure Amazon sellers, helping them create more time for themselves so they could quit their 9-to-5 jobs and do exactly what they wanted in their lives. I also now have the freedom and money to travel overseas whenever I wanted to with my boys. I've impacted thousands of people's lives through my online courses and joint ventures, and can earn as much as I want with no limit to my income. Just before the COVID-19 lockdown in March 2020, I travelled to China, Hong Kong, Singapore, Miami, the Caribbean, Portugal, and have plans for more. And currently, as you know, I'm here in Portugal once again. Portugal, my parents have a home here, and it kind of feels like my second home too. So with love and money focused upon throughout my journey towards freedom, what am I now at the end of it? I'm a proud and humbled to say that I'm an e-commerce and digital marketing expert, author, mumpreneur, founder of the Amazon 101 Academy, and created a community of Amazon Queens. I became an Amazon seller in 2013 and have since taught over 2,000 students to build successful businesses through on and offline training programs. I have a passion for branding and turning seemingly ordinary products into unique lines. I have built multiple brands from scratch with more than years of online marketing experience. I have a knack for being able to rank quickly on Amazon and for outsmarting the competition. I've self-taught digital marketing guru, and I featured in Forbes magazine in April 2020 about how to sell successfully online. I do pinch myself constantly, but as an international award-winning businesswoman, I also give back as much as possible. I offer free marketing advice and business coaching to other potential entrepreneurs, many of whom are also overcoming their own adversities and obstacles. I do this through this podcast, a membership site, and books. My first book, as I said before, She Made It Happen, and of course my Amazon, 5 Steps to Selling on Amazon as well. The success has led me to be recognised on multiple digital global platforms. I won the Women Connect Her Power Entrepreneur competition at the back end of 2020, which was organised by DHgate, which is the Chinese equivalent of eBay. That was such an honour to get the champion spot. So despite coming up against many entrepreneurial and business challenges during my journey from abuse to freedom, I've managed to start my own business and change my life forever. Mind, the final pillar. Love, money, and last but not least, mind. It's our mind that limits our beliefs. This is where Fred in the head lives. He is everything that we tell ourselves, and he tells us some porkies, believe me. He stops us doing what we need and want to do by playing with our heads and putting doubt and insecurities into our mind. He leaves us worried and insecure. Fred in the head is clingy and still sticks around for me. I notice him when sometimes I find that my head is back in the past and I feel angry at my ex-husband for not being a father to the boys, for making me pay financially and emotionally for the abuse I was subjected to. For the first couple of years of my journey to freedom, I felt worthlessness, not good enough. It was all my fault. That was Fred in the head tricking me. Occasionally, I still feel fear. A loud, unexplained banging outside in the house at night opens the floodgates to unwelcome and horrific memories of being stalked and harassed outside my home, leaving me quaking and shouting hard in my head at Fred in the head to go away. But ultimately, harassment charges, court battles, and injunctions over the last few years did not impede my efforts to persuade independence and build on my business education. This was down to me ignoring Fred in the head and instead adapting a new and positive mindset. I believe that we all have a purpose in this world. We all have a voice, and we all have skills, capability, experience, and knowledge to help others in such a positive way. We all want understanding, we all want belief, and more importantly, we all want happiness, don't we? To live a successful purpose, time freedom life. I left my employment and became financially free. but only because I stepped out of my past and out of my comfort zone, knowing that life could only get better. I think what happened to me happened because I'm an empathetic person. I absorbed cruelty unquestioningly by attempting to understand and excuse its source. Now I use my empathetic nature to help all those women who have been smothered by the red flags of abuse, that they did not see it coming either. The abuse did not make us strong. I do not believe that. We have overcome the abuse because we are already strong. I believe that my mission is to help other survivors truly believe this. And because of my mission, I changed my mindset. My mantra is now freedom. I am free to be able to do what I want to do and create a life that I want. Happiness born out of freedom is what we think, what we say, and what we do are all aligned in harmony. My pain has become my power. I feel as though I have found a meaning in all of this suffering, and I focus on making more of my future with love, money, and mind, and not making much of my lost time. For too many torturous years, I was a victim, the silent victim of indescribable domestic and sexual abuse. I lost my voice, my identity, my sense of life purpose. I'd been reduced to nothing. A loving mum of 2 young sons, I have since empowered myself not only to overcome the effects of the abuse as best I can, but also to continue to work on being the best possible version of myself. My once suppressed and traumatized silence now proudly shouts out loud that I am a thriver. I have overcome torture and adversity to become an international award-winning businesswoman. As a now world-renowned and inspirational entrepreneur, my mission as a survivor of extreme coercive and controlling behaviour is to encourage like-minded women to achieve their own dreams and routes to financial freedom and independence. I help women like me to overcome their own deep-seated pain and personal fears and discover their own voice and inner strengths for themselves. I certainly did make it happen. Hope you've enjoyed this episode. Go out there, face your fears, and go after your dream lifestyle. And remember, love, money, and mind will help you do that. Thank you very much for listening to this episode. Hope you've enjoyed it. Bye.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Your Freedom Podcast. And don't forget to subscribe on iTunes and subscribe on my YouTube channel. And if you want to get more freedom in your life, then come and join Your Freedom Project Facebook group, which the link is below in the comments section. And I am giving you a copy of my visualization manifesting book. So manifest more freedom in your life and live the life of your dreams.
Hey, thank you for listening. Hope you had a blast. Here to elevate your life. It's the Freedom Podcast. Love, money, mind. Love, money, mind. Wanna see you all win. Wanna see you all shine. Just make sure that you subscribe. Bringing good vibes. Join the Facebook group. Now it's time to change your life. Hope you come back. Right now is the chance. This is an experience. It's the Freedom Podcast.